Hello, dear friends, and welcome to our podcast dedicated to white wine, and it's called Why White Wine. My name is Darina Blogina.
And my name is Uli Fusenecker.
We are observing today a very special, mysterious wine, I would say, because we could not really find the producer's website of this wine, and it's only the distributors. What are we observing today, Uli?
We're observing white wine from Sicily, the region of the volcano Etna, actually north of the volcano Etna. The producer is called Inessa, and the wine is a Etna Bianco, which is a denomination for the region. And these Etna Bianco wines, they're mainly consisting Carricante, which is a autochthone grape in Sicily.
Okay, could you maybe clarify a little bit about this Carricante grape?
As far as I know, it grows only in Sicily. It's one of the famous white grapes of Sicily. The other ones are Catarato, there is also Insolia, and of course the famous Grillo that maybe some people know, and the Sibibbo, which is a kind of a type of muscat grape, so a very fruity one. This Carricante we're having here today, it's maybe not the most famous in Sicily, but it grows very well on this volcanic soil around the Etna. It's not far away, this region, from the city of Randazzo. I have once been there, and it's very interesting because it's a black city, because it's all done by this black volcano stone. So it's quite spectacular, so you really can have an impression what the soil is like, and volcanic soil is always very famous of being extremely rich. So obviously some white grapes grow there especially well. That's maybe the wine society in Sicily decided that the Etna DOC has to consist mainly Carricante. I think around 90% have to be in it.
So what do we know about this wine? Maybe some characteristic features, something that is really like an association that is tied to this wine.
Sicily is already a pretty small island, and it's only growing there, so internationally it's of course not a famous grape. You can't compare it to Sauvignon Blanc or Riesling or something like that. But it obviously fits very well to the surrounding. It's maybe important to mention that it's growing pretty high there, about 600, 700 meters sea level, which guarantees that it's not too hot and they can keep the alcohol level under control. Actually, this wine we're having today, it's only 12.5 degrees. By the way, it's from 2022, maybe also important to mention. And they say if you don't cut and reduce it, it carries extremely much material, and then it's kind of flat. But in case you cut and reduce, it becomes a very specific, very dense, very mineralic wine. And I also didn't know it. We tried it out with an order where we tried out several wines, and actually we liked it very much. We had it for the first time, so we thought it would make sense to make an episode about it.
Yes, I remember the first time we have tried it. It was on a summer evening, and I think it worked as a very refreshing wine back then, but also with a strong taste. I'm curious now, during the winter time, when we are so ready for vacations, at this very moment, how it's gonna sound in this winter evening in Basel, which is, I must say, it's a bit a gray evening. That's why it's even more cozy to stay at home and try some nice wines. Can you recall your memories from the very first time you have tried this wine?
I cannot even remember where we tried it, but I'm sure it was in summer. I knew about this grape because I've been to Sicily several times. But to be honest, I had more in Solia, I had more Grillo, so having this Carricante for the first time, it's not said on the bottle that it's a Carricante, but we found out then I would also not have discovered a Carricante. I don't know these grapes so well just by tasting. So we found out that this Etna DOC consists mainly of Carricante. So I would say before we describe too much, we should eventually have a smell, try a bit, and see what we are going to discover.
What do you think?
My first impression is definitely some herbs, something fruity, not an apple or a lemon, what we're more used to. It does not have this lemon smell at all.
I would say an apricot.
Yes, a well-grown apricot, so not a fresh one, but a apricot, something, some yellow fruit or even an early peach or something like that.
Very grown-up apricot when you like break it apart. Mm-hmm. And it's very juicy, but it's also like on its late stage of development.
Yes, yeah. Maybe we should also mention that the wine is pretty yellow, actually.
Yeah, the color is warmer, but very sheer yellow color.
Mm-hmm. Just as you were saying before, we have a gray evening here, and it's not the very best light in here, but it's clear that it's very much on the clear yellow side, which is also interesting to see in the bottle because it's not a green bottle, but it's a clear white bottle. So there we also get this intense impression of the color.
Yeah, you want to try it?
Yes. Very nice, I must say. It works also here quite good. I think what you mentioned before, this apricot aspect, is still very present. The wine is very mineralic for me, super dry, and I would stay with this herbal aspect which it has, especially on the back when it goes down.
It's a bit, I experience maybe some mint, very light mint taste, and I agree that is something herbal, but also I would say maybe some lemon in the taste, very light, or lemongrass, something like that, and maybe also a bit spicy, but I think it can come from the alcohol side of the drink.
Yeah, I was not sure if I should mention this spiciness, because we had this expression in some of our episodes before with different grapes, where it's a very different kind of spiciness we were describing there. We have the spiciness here as well, but for me it's a bit more connected to the herbs. Maybe it's something from the direction of thymian, something like that. Lemon, yes, but lemongrass I don't feel, because this is this so specific Asian grass that for me that would explain it too strong, but something of a lime is definitely there. Not a lemon maybe so much, but this a bit sour taste, which is very much integrated in the fruity aspect of the wine. maybe a word about the area there. For those who never have been there, it's really very spectacular. This region is kind of on a plateau, which is north of the Etna. And the Etna is not far away from this big city of Catania. And the most famous village there is, of course, Taormina. Everybody knows that quite well. North of this region, there's this area where they grow not only very good white wines, but also red wines. And as the sea level is so high, they can deal with these incredible temperatures they have there, because often in summer it's around 40 degrees there in the shadow. And I think they harvest the grapes in maybe beginning of September, when the nights are still quite hot. So on that sea level, that should be quite good.
And this village, you said it's famous. Why is it famous?
Taormina is famous because it's an old Greek place with an amphitheater, a very famous one, where is still going on more than one festivals, I think, a theater festival, and it's really incredible because you're sitting there open air. You see on the left hand, you see the sea, and if you look straight, you look directly to the volcano Etna, which is more than 3,000 meters high. So it's an extremely spectacular region, and this volcano is still active. So the airport of Catania is often closed because there is too much dust in the air. I never saw the volcano when it was active, but I know many people who walked up there. Must be really spectacular. When you're driving there around in this region, it's really partly like a desert, because you have this volcano stone all around. Very, very special atmosphere experiencing there, and partly hard to imagine that there is growing something. You would not, this super south regions, expect to produce a wine like this, which is dry, which is not heavy, which is fruity, which is extremely mineralic. I think the more we go on trying, the more mineralic aspects come out.
What about the price per bottle? I have Googled it, and there are several different options.
I think it's around 12, maybe 12 euros, more or less.
Yeah, because also, like, if you Google it on different websites, it varies from, let's say, depending if you are in Switzerland or in Europe, from 14 Swiss francs to 11. Sometimes you can find, and I don't know, in euro it would be like 15 euros, I guess.
Yeah, I think it also depends on the year. I think the fresher you buy, the more expensive it is. So you maybe find bottles from 2021 for a bit less. We have now here 2022, which seems to be quite perfect and round. I'm sure if we would have a 2023, the taste could be quite different, because it's definitely a grape which is, let's say, generally a bit more on the fresher side. Can be highly recommended to have the 2022. I think it's pretty fine to drink it now.
I think it started to float towards herbal taste much more. I think it has now even some sides of parslel or some features of a stronger herb that you would use for a salad.
Yeah, I agree. It becomes more and more present. It's actually very herbal. Could be nice with eventually Asian food.
Again?
Yes.
I don't know, I could imagine something more elegant, maybe risotto, or I don't know, like it's a very cliche point of view, white wine with fish, but I mean, I'm vegan personally, I don't eat such things, but I could imagine that for our audience who listens to us, maybe it could be an option to combine this wine with some white fish, something like that.
I did not want to mention because you're vegan, but I think you're absolutely right. With grilled fish or even from the oven, that of course matches super good. Because as this herbal aspect is really very strong, and this kind of this soil presence in the wine, it sounds a bit cliche-like, but I would call it, even if it's light, a very earthy wine. Even if I cannot exactly explain what I mean by that, the soil seems to be quite present how this wine is. It makes sense that this grape is just growing there, because it seems to be very, very much fitting.
I mean, for me, I don't feel so much this earthy taste or the presence of the soil somehow. For me, it's more this feeling of maybe sand or stone, something much more dry than earth, but earth can be also dry. So I don't know how to explain, but for me it's like a very, very refreshing, very intense, light, but like giving a good kick wine.
Yes, I think it's that we have this stone or earth impression, as we called it. It comes also from the fact that this region is, of course, extremely dry. There is really little rain. That means the roots of the whole vineyards, they have to go very, very deep to find water. That also means that the presence of the soil has to be strong. Often these roots have 15, 20, sometimes 25 meters, because it has to go through a lot of stone, volcanic stone, before it comes to a water source. As the rain is, of course, not sufficient to give the plant enough water.
Thank you very much for listening. We are wishing you a Merry Christmas, and we will see each other again in the new year with some new wines, of course, some new white wines. And we have prepared some interviews with wine producers as well.
Yeah, also from my side, hopefully you will have a very smooth flow into the new year. And for us here now, I think we will go on with this very nice Etna Bianco.